Let's talk about credit. Now, I've made videos in the past about credit. I am not a credit specialist, but I do have a lot of experience on the real estate side. And I'm also a licensed loan officer. So I know a thing or two about credit, and I am very open to sharing my tips and my suggestion when it comes to credit. As you guys may know, credit is extremely important when it comes to buying real estate. So this is why I decided to make another video about credit, and in hopes that it inspires you to be on top of your credit. Not knowing or not checking is not a good thing. With that said, I have actual personal experiences with my clients that they are like what we would call an A plus client, meaning they have worked in the same job for many years. They already own a property, so they know what it takes and how it feels to get pre-qualified and actually close the transaction. They are very successful where they work, so income is not an issue, and they have a big savings account. But they didn't check their credit, and by them neglecting their credit, they were not aware that there was some transactions done on their credit that was fraudulent and didn't belong to them. And because of that, their credit was affected, and now that's stopping them from buying a property. Now, of course, you can fix it, you can change it, you can make it all better, but it takes time. So any opportunity that comes knocking, if that credit's not ready, then you can't take advantage of that opportunity. So this is why it's so important that you check your credit, you maintain it. And if your credit, I would say, is below 700, message me. I will give you some one-on-one tips on what I've done with my credit or what I've suggested with my past clients and that has been successful. That way you can take advantage of those tips, make those minor changes, or stop doing whatever it's affecting your credit, and then get those extra points so you can be above 700. So again, sounding like a broken record, but credit is extremely important. So let's go over some things that I would recommend as a real estate agent that you can start doing that's gonna help you improve your credit. First things first, I just said it, check your credit. And I don't mean just with your app. I mean, that's a good place to start because I know a lot of you guys have an app. It can be from wherever you bank, like a Chase, Bank of America. They offer you a credit score every 3 to 6 months. That's great. That's a good, starting point. But if you need somebody to run your credit, again, I'm a licensed loan officer. I have a system where we can run your credit. So make sure you professionally get your credit ran. You want to see what's on there. You want to make sure you are aware of what your credit score is. That way you can have a target goal on how much higher you want it to be. And then most important, when you're checking your credit, you can stay on top of your credit, meaning nobody's doing any fraudulent things on your credit. There's nobody out there using your social and pulling out credit cards or loans without you being aware. So it'll be a way for you to stay on top of your credit and make sure that nothing funny is going on with your credit. Number 2, would definitely recommend for you to use your credit cards. So some people are like, I have credit, I'm just not going to touch any credit card. I'm just going to keep it at zero balance. Well, unfortunately, if you want to gain some points, you actually have to use your credit. You have to show the credit company that you are a responsible credit user and that you are grateful that they gave you credit. So now you're going to go charge that card. But here is the kicker. You don't want to use more than 30% of your limit. So just to keep numbers easy, let's just say Macy's, the store, gave you a credit limit of $1,000. You don't want to use more than 30% of that credit. So you don't want to go in there and charge $500, go on a shopping spree, get some shoes, maybe a top, some makeup, and charge $500 because $500 would be 50% of that $1,000 that they gave you. And once you start going above 30% of the limit that they let you borrow, then you start losing points or hurting your credit. So use your credit cards, but you want to keep your balances at 30% or less. Tip number 3, now that you're using your credit, you're gonna have monthly payments. Make sure that you are not late. Late is like one of the worst things you can do to your credit. So stay on top of that credit card payment. Whenever it's due, make sure you pay that payment a few days before it's due. You do not want to be late, especially go over 30 days late. It will bring down your credit score. Number 4, you want to make more than the minimum payment suggested. So let's just say your monthly minimum payment suggested for a credit card is $50. You don't want to just make $50. You want to make a payment of like $75, maybe even like $65. I know it doesn't seem like a lot. It's like $15 or $25 more than the minimum, but it will help you. So do not just make the minimum monthly payments. Make sure you're making a little bit more each month. And then the last tip when it comes to credit, I recommend that you don't pay off the credit card right away. It's important that, again, you basically prove to the credit company that you are grateful for the credit and you are using it wisely and paying them back. And that way they can give you more points. It's like a win-win situation. They let you borrow money, credit, and you show them that you're responsible with it and that you will pay them back. But at the same time, you won't pay them back too soon, because remember, the credit companies, the loans, they also make their money by you not paying them off too fast. So let's just say you charge something on one of your credit cards and the next month you're like, I can pay that off today if I wanted to. Don't do that. It'll benefit you more if you make at least 2 to 3 monthly payments. And then by the third or fourth payment, you can pay them off. But you want to also establish basically a history report with them saying, I'm borrowing money, I appreciate it, credit company, but I'm also not going to pay you off really fast because I also know that you guys benefit from me not paying it as fast. So pay off your limits, but don't try to do it within the first or the second statement of when you get that credit bill. Give it some time. With that said, don't take this information and exaggerate it by saying, oh, I'm going to pay it off in a year. Because again, if you have now an outstanding balance for many, many months, that's also going to hurt your credit. So these are just some tips for you guys to work on your credit. And these are things that you can do as an individual. You don't need to go pay a credit company to do these things for you. I know there's a lot of credit companies out there that help people raise their credit or dismiss things on their credit, like collections or inquiries. I get that. Again, I'm not a credit expert. You can maybe speak with one of them if you feel like that's going to benefit you. But the tips that I just went over are things that you can actually do without paying anybody. And if you have like a specific scenario you want me to run or something specific that has happened to you regarding your credit, send me a message so I can give you some professional and personal opinion on what I feel that you can do. And again, this all connects to real estate because you can have the perfect savings account, a big chunk of money. You can have all the money in the world. You can have the best career. You can have the best business you're running that's super successful and you're making a killing each month. But if your credit's not there, you will have issues buying a property. So credit is key.